Hey guys, this is
I
Corey.
gotta do something real quick.
Jack, shut your mouth. This is Corey with the Showdown Battle League, and we are doing our Week 4 recap. And we are going to get started the match of the week with Chabin against Tony. And this is pretty much Tony just killing everything with Zoroark, and then Fire Blast Muck. And that's really all there is to say about that game. Chabin ended up winning at the end with a Bullet Punch Scizor. But very good play by Tony all the way through. What do you guys think about this one?
I just think Tony had really interesting prep in comparison to just like Chabin just brought a generally solid team, and eventually I was able to shine through. I'm a little skeptical about bringing the DNC into this match. I mean, at least against this team that Chabin brought, like DNC's matchup was pretty terrible. So I want to see. I don't know what I want to see actually.
Yeah, I think Zoroark's. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go.
I was gonna say, I think Zoroark's been a really big part of Tony's success so far, or like at least the reason why these games are so close. He's using that thing really well, and it's constantly catching people off guard. Like, I was watching the game, and I spent like probably 5 or 10 minutes looking, because I didn't know Muck got Grass Knot, until I realized it didn't get Grass Knot, and it was Zoroark.
Yeah, I think it's fooled everyone watching the match like maybe 30 times.
Yeah, it's always nice to see him use it well, though. One of the plays I liked, it didn't really result in a kill, but it got close, was the agility Zapdos baton passing onto Aggron, and then him outspeeding Nidoking. That was a pretty cool move to me. And then another one was the substitute on the Rotom Heat. Let him survive the Sharpedo and then get the kill with Discharge.
Yeah, just in terms of creativity, I really think Tony brought like a lot of cool stuff this week, which is always really interesting to see. But I guess just in the end, Chabin sort of like solid building and playing was able to win him the game in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely some creative sets by Tony. So from there we'll move to Christian against Ryan. Christian got the play of the week with the red card Crocodile, which brought out the Kofagrigus and almost got him the one-hit KO. It really just kind of gave him immediate momentum from the beginning, and Ryan really couldn't recover from Crocodile. He had no real answers to it. A couple of things that I liked about that, he was able to get the Crobat out, kill it with the knockoff, and then two-hit KO the Scizor, and then he finally used Medicham on this match. He had a 3% living to the Raticate's quick attack, and was able to kind of finish things up. So I really liked that one. And Christian, you're here today, so we'll let you discuss this match a little bit.
Yeah, so my prep for this match actually wasn't anything. Like, I used the team that I was originally gonna face Kevin with, simply because I didn't have time to like prep an actual team. Just with like minor changes here and there. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to do that good. I think the red card Crocodile was kind of a last minute thing. I was originally gonna have like Thread Play on it, which would make my knockoff stronger. But I'm glad that I did end up putting red card on it. It was a bit random, so I could kind of see how we wouldn't prep for it. Yeah, the Crobat was pretty much the only thing that stood in my way the entire game, because yeah, like everything else I had an answer for, but the Crobat, like he used it so well, and it's like it was such a pivotal mon for him that like I really just had to keep whittling it down with Crobat and like knockoff and stuff.
So what do the rest of you guys think about this match?
I think question marks go out to Ryan's team building here, his prep. I don't know why he didn't bring a lot of his tier 1s. Like I think Manaphy would have been a much better than Oranguru here. I think Mega Lopunny is very good against what Christian brought, although I don't know the rest of his team off the top of my head. So maybe he thought there was a threat and he didn't want to bring it. So, but just looking at it, I think Ryan would have done a lot with Victini, Lopunny Mega, and Manaphy over Oranguru, Kingler, and Raticate.
I guess maybe what he was trying to go for this week, I can't really answer on his behalf, but maybe he was trying to like utilize some lower tier picks and try to get some use out of them. Because I know in the draft video, one of the things we talked about is that although his like his higher tier picks are really good, if he's gonna struggle if he doesn't use those lower tier picks. So maybe this was kind of just like an experimenting week. Other than that, yeah, Christian, I think he sort of, I think after this is the week I think he used his team best. He was able to really show what he can do with it. And I also got to point out, I think Crocodile has been so important for him in all of his games so far. I think a lot of teams, you can maybe look at like one thing they have that's been like the sort of their ace in the hole. I think I have Cobalion. I think Jarrett has like Thunderous Teeth, few examples. I think Crocodile is that for Christian. He's been using it super well.
Yeah, I agree. I think something that is going to be important going forward, though, is everybody he plays from here on out is going to know that. So it's going to be very important for Christian to plan for people to plan for Crocodile at this point. So that's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but this match really was the epitome of an underdog story. You had the undefeated #1 ranked team losing to the 16th place team who had not had a win yet, and that has not happened in the league yet. So that was also really cool to see. And before we move on, Brian, did you want to add anything to this one?
No, I think it's all been covered pretty well by what everyone else has said. I mean Brian's prep or Christian's like use of Crocodile, I think that's pretty well covered.
Awesome, and we'll move on to the next match, which was Joe against Frank. This one, I kind of thought that it was going to go to Joe almost immediately. He set up on Bisharp and one-hit KO'd Weezing and Darmanitan, but Frank was able to come in with a vacuum wave Lucario. And really just kind of shut down Joe's team. Really important rocks that he got up because that ended up finishing off the Persian and the Salazzle at the end, so that was nice. And then the Gengar, I was surprised it did so much to Mega Slowbro even after the parting shot debuff. What do you guys think about this one?
I think Frank played really well. He utilized special sweepers against a team that when you look at it has more physical walls. Like he brought on, not parting shot on fur coat. So I think using special wall breakers was very effective for him. And yeah, exactly. I think prioritizing stealth rocks was good because Joe didn't bring hazard removal. And that's also one thing I'd say for Joe. Frank doesn't really have hazard removal outside of Mega Absol's Magic Bounce. So, and he brought Hippowdon. If he had maybe tried to get up rocks earlier on in the game, that may have helped him out, whittling down some things. But I don't know how he's managed to use Bisharp so well, because I had it one season and I wasn't able to do much with it, but it's consistently been since season 2 a big part of why this game was so close, and I think he's been using that pick very well.
Yeah, I agree, and he's had it, I believe, every season since season 2, if I'm not mistaken, and he's used it well the whole time he's had it. This one, I really think, and it's really nice to see that Frank has really stepped up his game this season. I've never seen Frank play this way before. Typically, and no offense to Frank, but typically he was kind of a lower tier, not a threat match. But this season, I mean, he's even bigger players like Chabin and Joe are getting beat by Frank. Not a lot of huge wins, but he's still picking up wins, and obviously he's in second place right now, so he's doing something well. Anyone else want to add anything to this one before we move on?
Yeah.
And so with that, we'll move on to the next match, Carlos against Dennis. This one was a really good match. I almost expected Carlos to come out on top, is how the match went. But Dennis did pick up the win. It was very close. Couple of highlights that I kind of jotted down was the Nidoqueen surviving a Psychic with over half health and then able to take out Tornadus. And of course, the Focus Punch Buzzwole was pretty incredible as well. So since Carlos is not here, but Dennis is, Dennis, I want to let you have some time to talk about this match.
So Carlos prep, Carlos was way better than me. I was not ready. Once I opened the game, I was like, oh crap, I get run over by Miss Magius and I get run over by Nidoqueen. But what panned out was his Miss Magius got poisoned and then he didn't try to heal it. And so that worked out for me really well. I chip damage on it. We were just, after just like, switching out a lot, I got a lot of chip damage, wore it down, and it died. I think what was really interesting was his Terrakion set. I did not expect Terrakion to be able to like 1v1 Tapu Fini, like with an assault vest and like max defense, or almost 1v1 it, but like it was really close. Just like all kudos go out to like Carlos's prep. I think if he prioritized Miss Magius a bit more or Nidoqueen, I think he could have won.
I think Carlos within the next couple of weeks is gonna sort of turn the season around. I think with the transactions he made, and just the way you see prep this week, like the sort of the stall breaker, Miss Magius, the really cool Terrakion set. I think he just showed a lot of good stuff on his part, and there's only one way forward for him right now, and that's like improving. So I think he's gonna do well these next few weeks, and I think he's like showing that he's still gonna be a threat, and that it's still early season, and there's still potential to make a playoffs run. But I think Dennis overall, he played a very solid game. He's been utilizing the new picks very well. Buzzwole has been a massive threat and a good part of his success, and yeah, everything on his team has been doing really well. He's using Klefki to get up the hazards. Everything. I think Dennis just played the solid game he needed to get the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's realizing that with the competition level this season, he can't just run a bunch of thick Pokemon that don't have any offense and win like he was able to do before. So everyone's kind of setting up on him now. So with that, it was overall a very solid match, and we will move on to Lewis and Jarrett. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was our first 6-0 of the season. I might be wrong on that, but and actually it may have been a 5-0 now that I'm thinking about it. But definitely some power here with Thundurus. He one-hit KO'd the Landorus, and then also took out the Gardevoir, and then brought in the Suicune and set up, and that was pretty much the end for Lewis. So with that, I'll let you guys speak a little bit more on this one.
I mean, I think this was pretty generally solidly played by Jarrett. Like he pulled his advantages and used the Thundurus Therian really well. If there's one thing I can say he could improve on, it's that he got a little greedy with the Suicune, like constantly setting up more Calm Minds against the Celesteela at risk, like potential crits, flinches that could have thrown away the game. I mean, even though he was up 3 Pokemon, there were Sticky Webs down, and Celesteela would have gone Beast Boost. It had +2 speed, so it could have been a completely different game if some RNG came in, and he should have just played a lot safer and just gone for the attacking move. He didn't really need more boosts to win the game. I mean, he 2-hit KO Hitmonlee after +3, I think, so I didn't see a point to set up all the way to +6. But I mean, in the end, it worked out for him, so that's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Lewis is. Oh, Corey, what
I was just gonna say that this was overall a pretty solid match. Nothing too crazy, in my opinion, happened in this game, but I'll let you say what you need to say.
Just one brief note I was going to say. I think Lewis's team is kind of weak to fast electrics right now. Between this and the first week, I think it's kind of shown that if you can make the one good HP Ice prediction on Landorus T, things like Raikou or Thundurus Therian can just suddenly put in a lot of work, because outside of that, he doesn't really have a whole lot. I'm not sure. It's like his grass type is Sceptile, which hasn't been brought a lot. It's not bulky. And Landorus, he has the 4x weakness. So I think that might free agency maybe get a second ground type, a bulkier out with fast electric types right now.
Yeah, I agree. That'll be a good way to kind of patch up his team. Anyone else have anything to add before we move on? Alright, we'll go ahead and move on to Hans against Cody. This one, there really wasn't anything that stood out to me. It was kind of a standard match this week. One thing I did note is the Colberberry Cresselia was able to survive the Toxicroak and then one-hit KO it. And then really just another example of how powerful Pinsir is, especially if you don't have an answer for it. What do you guys think on this one?
I think it was actually just a little bit of underestimation of the Pinsir on Cody's part. I mean, I think he kind of had the Electivire as a bit of an answer to it, but I don't think he really expected the return to do so much damage to it, and like the quick attack if it came to that situation. Like, Pincer just did way more damage than Cody was ready for, and that kind of showed, and that's why I kind of was able to close out the game.
Yeah,
Early-
I think Pincer is just such a threat in League format. Even if you prepare for it, there's, especially if it can get an attack off, there's not really much that can take a hit from it. So it's definitely kind of hard to play around, especially if it gets out and you know, just starts killing things.
I think X's on Pincer was a super cool thing that wasn't like sort of highly mentioned, but it's cool because if you look at the damage in Cresselia, you never think to run actually X's on Pincer, even though it's stab, like you never really need it. But against Cresselia, returns like doing 35 to 40 like around the calcs, whereas X Scissors is a really clean 2-hit KO. So it's like it's a really interesting idea for a coverage move that he was able to showcase pretty well in this game. So that was like a cool bit of planning on Hans's part. I just think in general he sort of adapted pretty quickly to the format, and he's starting to gain a lot of momentum the past few weeks.
Yep, I agree. And with that, like I said, there's not a whole lot else to say on that match. We'll move on to Kevin against Josh. This match, we had 2 deaths in the first 2 turns, with Lycanroc killing Marowak in 1 hit, and then Dugtrio coming back and killing Lycanroc in 1 hit. So very fast paced, especially at the beginning. And another key moment, I think, was the Dragon Claw crit to Chandelure from the Charizard. So that was, it may not have mattered, but it definitely didn't help Josh's case to win that game. Other than that, it was a pretty fast-paced but pretty solid game by both of them. And I think at the end of the day, Kevin outplayed and had the better team at the end of the match. What do you guys think on this one?
I think Kevin is using. Oh shit.
Go.
You go. I go. Okay. I think Kevin is using. He used Dugtrio and Mandibuzz really well this game. Dugtrio. I had it briefly in season 1. I never really got to use it, but like when you look at how much work both Heliolisk and Lycanroc do to Kevin's team, like they can both put in like get multiple kills each probably, but they can only get 1 kill, and then Dougie just comes in and traps them. It's just such a dangerous Pokemon to face, because if you don't have like a Shed Shell or some sort of like way to get you know, like U-turn or something like that, it can just completely get rid of any good breakers you have against your team. So I think Dugtrio is super dangerous, and Kevin used it really well this week. And then Mandibuzz is just a very solid wall. And again, like Kevin, I think Dugtrio and Mandibuzz are probably the 2 main picks that won Kevin this game. He used both of them very well.
Yeah, I mean, on the other end, there's also like the point about Dugtrio being really good for trapping like Heliolisk and Lycanroc. I mean, Kevin protected his Dugtrio very well, but I think Josh should have played a little bit more carefully with Lycanroc and Heliolisk, because he lost his 2 really solid win conditions pretty early on into the game.
So with that being said, we'll move on to the last match, the Jack against Brian. This is the Season 3 Championship rematch. A couple of things that I really liked here was the Wild Charge Arcanine onto Aerodactyl, and then the very epic Earthquake Thunderwave Showdown there in the middle of the game. And then finally at the end, Mega Heracross getting some kills. It's always nice to see a Mega that hasn't really been used a whole lot in the league, getting some good kills in there. And I'll let both of you guys talk on this match since both of you were here.
Who goes first?
I'll go first because I got the good lead matchup.
Alright, good.
Yeah, basically I got my Heracross was really strong against his team, especially because he hadn't gotten his Mega up, or especially before he got his Mega up on Altaria. So I led off with it, and then I got a lot of opportunities to like get kills. Jack played really well around it, and I played it very cautiously, so I didn't get hidden power flying by like random sets like Copalion, because I saw how good my Heracross was against his team, so I wanted to play it very carefully. Another thing is like I prepped a lot. I brought the Volcarona, but I didn't have a lot of hazard clearing for it. So even though it had a good matchup, it didn't get to do much because it kept dying or it just died to Stealth Rocks after taking 1 hit. So I guess I just could have prepped a lot better for this match overall.
I think that sub Calm Mind Magirna set I saw in the team builder, that probably could have won if it got the chance to. I didn't really prep for that, so that could have been a big threat, or at least could have like made the game far more difficult. I guess on my side, yeah, Arcanine, I had the agility, didn't really get the butt. It didn't get any kill that. I think Cobalion, I really like using that because it works pretty nice like a pivot, and that's like tanky, so it can like switch in, get off a hit, then triple switch out. And I was finally able to sort of get some good use out of Jirachi this week with like the Assault Vest set, kind of just flinching things down and being able to clean up late game, so that was really nice.
But yeah, overall a very good match this week. Very close game too, so it's always fun to see you guys play each other. And so that's really the end of the week 4 recap. Now we're gonna kind of look ahead to week 5. So what are some of the games that you guys are looking forward to? I know I'm looking forward to Lewis and Josh playing is going to be good, and Dennis and Frank also. But I think one that I'm really excited about is got to be Chabin and Ryan. I think that'd be a really cool one to see.
I think the one I'm looking forward to most is actually Brian and Jarrett. I think Jarrett's probably proven himself to be maybe like the best new coach from season 4, whereas Brian, the season 3 champion, season 2 finalist. So I think that'll be a really cool match. I didn't even realize Chabin and Ryan were playing. That's all actually going to be awesome too. Didn't even know about that. And yeah, I would agree with Frank Dennis because I think both coaches are 3-1 right now, so that's both are doing super well. So that'll be really good to see.
Yeah, this is going to be a big week for rankings, especially. I don't think anyone really has a super easy match. Jack, I think this may be a big week for you to pick up some differential in your game with Cody, if you play that well. But other than that, really they're all going to be good games. I'm looking, Carlos and Hans will be good. We've got a bulky team against a pretty offensive team, so that'll be interesting to see as well. And anything else you guys want to add before we end the video?
I'm actually looking forward to Carlos's new layout on his team. I mean, he kind of got rid of the super bulky stall component that he had, and it'll be interesting to see where he takes that from there.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to point out before the video ends, while trades are going to go into effect immediately, free agencies will not be taking place this week. They won't go live this week. So we will have to wait for week 6 before we are able to use the free agency trades. So with that, that's the end of the recap, and we will see you guys next week in week 5.